How do you deal better with stress? Great question. I think the first thing we must all do at some point in our maturity is decide not to be a stress case. You know, there has to be an intentional decision at some point in our lives where we say, look, I'm not gonna be this stressed anymore. I'm allowing too much stress into my life. And please notice the words I'm using here. I'm allowing too much stress into my life. Most stress is not, quote unquote, real. No one hands you a plate of stress. It's not something you see and we can transact and exchange. It's something we make up in our mind. We make things stressful that may or may not be or have any cause to be stress-inducing. You know, one thing that could stress you out might not be a stressful thing to anybody else. So that proves we're making it up. And since we're making it up, we should decide what we're gonna do in the future. Are we gonna always be stressful people or not? I know that sounds so silly, but I made that decision when I was young. I was 20 years old. And I said, look, I don't want to be a stressful person anymore. I used to stress about getting everything right and getting good grades. And I'd stress about, pleasing people and stress about, did I fit in? I'd stress about college. I'd stress about, and at some point I said, all this is made up. You know, matter of fact, most stress is coming from usually one of two things. First is a false time crunch that we perceive. We think we only have so much time, so everything becomes stressful. Oh my God, I gotta get this done. I gotta get this done. I got this done. And we're reacting our lives to really false deadlines. Someone asks you for something, you think you have to get it to them right away. You probably don't. It's probably not a real deadline. And unless you ask them, when is the real deadline on this? I mean, the point in which everything crumbles and falls apart. If you don't get it then, what would happen? What is the worst thing that would happen if you didn't get it that exact time? I'm crazy about this in my life. If someone says, well, Brendon, I need this by Thursday, I say, okay, if you need it by Thursday, is Thursday the day everything would explode and fall apart if you didn't get it? And they're like, no, Monday would be fine. And I just bought myself Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and part of day Monday. I just bought 5 days by asking when the real deadline is. Because most people, they say they want something from you when they want it, not when they need it. So your job to help deal with just the time crunch that stress can feel like is asking, when is the real deadline? And all these things that you're stressed out about, do they really need to be handled right now, this immediate second? Would it be okay if you created a plan and you handled them over the next couple days, next couple weeks, next couple months? When you actually realize the unbelievable amount of time we all have as humans, and how much more time we have when we become focused, diligent, intentional, disciplined, then we're not so much stressed anymore. It's like, I will get to that when the time is appropriate for that. Before that, I've got other things.
If you have depression, if you have anxiety, if you have post-traumatic stress disorder, if you have any kind of mental health condition, it's nothing to be ashamed of and it's nothing to hide, and it's something to hit head on with. There's one thing that if you did every single day, no joke, it would make an extraordinary difference in whatever mental health issue you're struggling with, and that is exercise. And the reason why I say this is not based on my own personal experience. It's based on the fact that I think it's the American Psychiatric Association. This is coming from Dr. John Rady, a friend of mine who has written a ton of books about not only ADHD, but also the benefits of exercise and what it has on your brain. But he's also a professor at Harvard and a practicing clinician. And this is his area of expertise. And one of the things that they now mandate as a diagnosis for anybody with depression or anxiety, or any mental illness, frankly, is you've got to exercise every day. And the reason you've got to exercise every day is because what we know about human beings is that when you physically move, your physiology changes, and that changes your brain. Getting your heart rate up, getting outside, breathing, feeling connected, getting out of your house, which may make you feel depressed and trapped. Doing that every day, that physical push. You don't have to run. You don't have to go to an aerobics class. Get outside with your dog in the woods. Walk with a good friend for 2 or 3 miles. Doing that every single day not only moves your body, which changes your mind, it gets you out of your physical environment, which is one of the things that people with depression tend to have a hard time doing. And it also creates a bit of momentum and a bit of a routine in your life. You take on just that single thing. Get outside and exercise every single day as if your life depends upon it, because you know what? It does. Your brain needs it, your body needs it, your mental health needs it. So, in closing, be open, don't be ashamed, get the help that you need. If you want to start doing something today that you can manage every single day, you can't go wrong with forcing yourself to exercise. And by the way, what can you use to get your butt out the door? You guessed it, the 5-second rule. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Give yourself a push and you're going to feel a lot better.
Anxiety usually is coming from just 3 places. And once you realize it, it's not so scary anymore. The scary part about anxiety is when you don't know why you have it. And again, for some people, they might have a chemical imbalance. They might have a challenge or a past unconscious traumatic event that is coming up for them, and they might need to seek some help for it. Others can just sit down and go, okay, where is this coming from? And knowing that it's probably coming from 3 places, that now we can deal with it. Most anxiety comes from fear of loss. You feel like in any uncertain situation, you feel like, gosh, if I don't do well here, I might lose reputation, I might lose my job, I might lose someone's respect or somebody's love, I might lose something I like if I try something new and it doesn't go well. It's just scared, they might lose something. So ask yourself next time you feel anxiety, what am I scared I'm gonna lose here? What could I be scared of that I'm gonna lose here? Maybe that's what I needed. And then do fact checking, saying, is that legitimate? Is that a concern I'm blowing up in my mind and I have no basis in reality to figure out? And if I don't, I need to stop thinking about it and I need to start focusing on what's tangible action items I can do tomorrow or today to take one little tiny step closer. Because sometimes the easiest way to wipe out anxiety is to get a little momentum. I would say the second thing that people often fear is hardship. They just think the real anxiety is, I'm not gonna be able to handle this. I'm not enough as a person. I don't have the skills, the capabilities, the competencies, the talent. And if I try it, it's gonna be hard on me. People say it's gonna be too hard on me. And I tell people all the time, if that's coming from that, you have no idea how strong of a human being you can be. You really don't. I don't. And I'm not saying that, I'm not preaching here. I don't. We don't know. I'm stunned at the things I can handle today that I couldn't handle 10 years ago. And I know there's areas of your life like things that you can handle today. When you first tie your shoe, you fear that you're not gonna be able to figure it out the next time. It's gonna be too hard or you're gonna be embarrassed, but then you do it 10 times and now you've got this, the hardship thing doesn't bother you anymore. So one way to overcome anxiety is to question, where do I feel like I'm not gonna be enough or capable here? And then start doing a little diagnosis and say, but where have I been so capable of before? Or how could I develop this capability? What support or mentorship could I get to go to the next level here? To know that I'm not gonna have to handle on my own, that I'll have real support. Because sometimes what we need to know to overcome anxiety is that we'll be supported. Last piece I think people really have a lot of anxiety towards is disappointment. They fear that they could do it, they could try, but maybe it doesn't turn out well. And because it doesn't turn out well, they start inventing all these reasons now. It's not gonna turn out well, they're gonna lose something, and they're gonna have hardship, and they're gonna feel like crap, you know? They actually are fearing what they're going to be feeling, and that's the anxiety. The anxiety is actually just a sense of, oh my gosh, I might not feel good. And so it causes us to feel even worse, right? Disappointment. And so you have to look at it and say, maybe I need to change my evaluative criteria here. Maybe this isn't about whether or not I succeed. Maybe it's about whether or not I give effort towards something is meaningful to me. Maybe it's not towards whether it turns out perfect, but it's that I began the journey. That we stop thinking about, is the destination gonna be perfect and the promised land for us? And instead we ask this question is, can I develop as a human? Can I just, you know what, yes, maybe part of me overcoming anxiety is getting more comfortable with the uncomfortable. Not to get rid of the anxiety, but to get rid of how I'm dealing with the anxiety. To take pride in the fact that I'm facing it, I'm dealing with it, and I'm still marching on. And I think if we face it, we deal with it, and we still march on, we start to really start managing that anxiety. You have greater strength in your ability and in your body than you could ever possibly imagine, and I'll say it all day long because you probably don't believe it, in those moments when you're experiencing anxiety. But next time you start to experience anxiety, sit down and say, where's it coming from? Am I scared I'm gonna lose something? Am I scared of hardship? Am I scared I'm gonna be disappointed? Do any of those things have any factual matter to them? And if they do, what am I gonna do with that energy? Am I going to let it stop me, or I'm gonna use it as a tool to pay a little bit more attention and to keep momentum, because I know the more momentum I get, the less anxiety I'll have. Start focusing on developing your strengths and your momentum, you'll start to experience what we call the charged life.